Dun, 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 dun. Put your hands together. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Welcome, 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 welcome to the realm of dun, 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 dun. Welcome to the realm of millennia. Welcome to the realm of millennia. Be you man, woman, child, spirit, creature, or a demon. Be ye a native migrator, or maybe even some sort of invader into the realm. Welcome, for I am your host, the Millennium Mailman, here today, bringing you a Songbook Sunday, and it will be a singing one. Golly, I know. I hate my voice too, but just swipe to the next video if you don't feel like hearing it. Welcome to the realm of millennia, for I am your host, the Millennium Mailman, and I'll be world building for you. Oh, gosh. Long after you've already begun to acclimate and fit in, so go ahead, sit back, relax, and enjoy this singing Songbook Sunday. In the first couple of minutes, I will just be talking. But hey. So today I will be doing that privileged freestyle. I might split it into two depending on how much actual talking I do for this first half. But I will be singing it today. Be it video 1 for the day or video 2 for the day. 2 videos a day until my book is published, right? Whether or not it's in the first part or the second part, you guys looking at the title should know. But yes, I will be doing the privileged freestyle today. And for your awareness, when I actually did the freestyle, I was listening to this random guy off of, I think it's either TikTok or his YouTube channel. He had both. And he was doing a freestyle to this nice little groovy beat. And it wasn't, his whole thing wasn't about privilege. He just mentioned privilege, and the way he talked about it, because I'm a lyricist, I'm looking for the lyrics, right? The way he talked about it, especially in tandem to everything else he was rapping about, it's like, you make it sound like privilege is exclusive to race, only race privilege. Like, he acknowledged there's not a lot of privilege going around, but the most important thing about privilege was something about race, how it's held by all the whites, and it keeps putting down the blacks. And it was a white redneck who said it. I'm like, that's just one, it feels uncomfortable for you to say it like that. Number two, I don't even think that's real or right. And white makes right, right? I believe that's how the slanderous slur goes. White makes right. And you, that certainly doesn't sound right, mister. That certainly don't sound right, my mister. So I know for the very first minute and a half to 2 minutes, 2 minutes and a half, I don't think I actually said privilege more than twice, right? Because it took a bit later on for me to get into the groove of using pretty privileged in the freestyle. And then from there, so like in the first minute and a half to 2 minutes, I was describing what it was. So every time I said privileged and was trying to talk about privilege, I was kind of going on an expose, explanatory, explaining what privilege was for like the first 2 minutes of the freestyle. And I even got into it. I have no idea where that beat is at. It took way too long for me to even try to backtrack to find it. But it took a minute for me to let the clip replay. I let the thing replay and then listen to the music and push out his voice, separate his voice from the music in the background, so I could listen to just the background and freestyle on it. Because there was like a 1 or 2 times in there where he shut up for a good like 5 to 10 seconds to let his last verse sink in. And it was during that moment that I try to double dutch my way in there so that I could speak and slowly tune out his voice. but I didn't fully tune out his voice because I was freestyling based off what he was saying. So like, if I did it right away, you would notice. I don't remember everything he said, but basically, every time I let the clip replay on auto replay, I would hear him say something and I would base off what my next things were about. That's actually how I got into the tune of the step forward, step back as well, right? Because he, while he wasn't referencing that viral trend of children and their parents talking about take a step forward, take a step back, he did say the line, take a step back if you did or didn't do this, because I'm the next one coming up. He said a line like that, but my mind, I linked it to that old viral trend of people taking a step up if you take a step forward, take a step forward, take a step forward. Right? I linked it to that. I'm like, okay, I could do a thing here. And that was after the first like 2 minutes when I finished explaining what privilege was. So like in the very first 2 minutes of the thing, I was explaining what privilege was, and then like I heard him in the background because I toned him out, but I didn't fully tone him out. After the first 2 minutes, I'm like, okay, he said this, I'm gonna link it to this, and from there on, after, it's like, let me just tell you, take a step forward. So I literally switched gears like immediately because I was ready to say something, but I probably would have digressed. So the moment I heard him take a step up, he said, take a step back, take a step back, because I'm the only one, next one coming up. Something, when he said it like that, I immediately switched gears, like, yeah, take a step up, take a step up, take a step up. And I did that for at least a full cycle of the video. So when the video looped around again, he said, how about you take a step back, because I'm the next one coming up. I'm like, okay, you're right. I need to switch gears a little bit because I've been talking about that for too long. You know what? How about you take a step back? And I related it to me, right? So for the first 2 minutes, I was explaining what privilege was. Then I decided to switch gears a little bit and talk about, hey, this is what privilege is. How about you take a step up if you ever had to do any of these things, because you are privileged. Don't forget that. You are privileged. Take a step up. Take a step up. So I described a bunch of the things that would be you being privileged, right? Take a step up if you never had to worry about this or that. Take a step up if you haven't never had to worry about this or that. Now look where you at. So you looking pretty privileged to me here in the mud and the dirt and everything, right? You looking pretty privileged from way up there, right? And I did a whole cycle like that. Then when I heard him say, like, take a step back, take a step out, I'm like, right. I can't just leave them up there. How about we take a step back? Take a step back if you ever had to do this or that, or you go to jail. Take a step back if you ever had to do this and that, or you would have been laying flat. Take a step back if you ever had to kill another or even hurt your brother just to survive to the next day. Take a step back if you ever had to squeeze your belt in order to keep your family fed. Take a step back, right? Did that for a little bit. I said, now look at the difference from between where we are. You the way up there and us way back here. The furthest one back is definitely my mother, because she had to suffer way more than I ever did, right? So I am also pretty privileged to know and understand just how I ain't the worst one back there. Hell nah. But the ones before me definitely were. The ones before even me, they definitely way the hell back there, right? I'm pretty privileged myself to be able to make money doing videos, make money writing lyrics, make money writing songs, make money writing books. I'm pretty privileged myself, because them over there, they had to work in the coal mines. My last name comes from people who lived on a plantation. That's where my family name comes from. right? They worked on Jones Plantation. Jones. That's where the name for me comes from, right? So I am pretty privileged because my ancestors are actual slaves, not questionably slaves. They were directly someone's slave, right? So I'm pretty privileged that it is, when we talk about the history, like, yeah, but guess what? I'm not. At least I never have to be. I don't even have to be a corporate slave. My family and everything, we aren't in such debt where we have to sign that terrible contract to be working for someone like that. But we could. We have the opportunity to. We have the connections to be higher management and a thing like that. But we never got to. Right? So I'm pretty privileged. But at the same time, I'm a parent. So I have felt the pain of not being very rich enough to provide for my children. I am not so privileged enough that I am rich enough to be able to get everything my children want on top of their needs. I'm privileged enough to be able to supply all their needs, but not privileged enough to be like, hey, everything you want, we'll get that too. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. You see that right there? Hold the phone. Right? So, it's a bathroom monsters. But yeah. So the first 2 minutes was me basically describing what privilege was. This next minute and a half, I know that I was trying to shift gears into that, take us, basically accusing everyone in the audience and the listener of being someone privileged, or at least shifting their mind to know exactly how much privilege exists around you, right? And then another minute and a half or 2 minutes later, I kind of, this was shifting from this, hey, I want to, no, it was more like a 30-second riff, right? Where I bridged, like, hey, all you are privileged, everyone is privileged. And if maybe you're not that privileged, but note, you definitely know more than one person who is privileged, right? So while going from that accusatory angle, I decided, hey, let me stop talking about you. And before you get mad about me calling you privileged, how about you listen to this? Take a step back, take a step back. You never moved, and look how far back other people are, right? So, first 2 minutes, minute and a half, 30-second, to further describe just how privileged you and everyone around you is. It sounds pretty privileged, looking pretty privileged, right? Okay, for 30 seconds I did that little pretty privileged thing, right? And then from there, I went on to describe, take a step back for the minute and a half to 2 minutes. Like, take a step back, take a step back, take a step back, take a step back. Now look around, look at the difference between you, me, and them, the rest of them way the hell back there, right? It's like, that's where you guys are. Took a step back, take a step back, take a step back. That's where the rest of them are, right? And then for, I don't want to say just 30 seconds, it had to be at least a full minute of me saying, like, hey, look at the difference between us. And then I really emphasized that, hey, you're looking pretty privileged from where you guys are at to where we are at. You're looking pretty privileged from where they at to where I'm at, right? I'm looking pretty privileged from where they are to where I am. You looking pretty privileged from where I am to where you is, right? So when I did that, it was more focusing on hey, we can play the blame game. We can say you're privileged, I'm privileged. We can let this be that way for all eternity. Or we can shift gears with me for the next 2 minutes or so. Maybe 3. That last bit was pretty long. So maybe like 2 minutes, 30 seconds to a whole 3 minutes of trying to bridge the divide. because I spent the first 5 minutes of this song, maybe 6 minutes, of me listening to this 40-second clip over and over and over again. I spent the first 5-6 minutes of listening to this beat and freestyling on it to tell you that there is a divide. It's very massive, and you better not try to deny it, because it is there. Privilege is a real thing. It's not just someone's imagination, right? I spent the first 6 minutes fumbling over my words at times. I'm gonna be honest, it wasn't 100% because I was thinking, and I wasn't in a studio to worry about it or recording myself. So I could fumble over some words and just then correct it in like 5 seconds from there. I'm not a rapper, I'm a writer. It's a big difference. It's a big difference. Rappers should be able to easily freestyle. A writer, I'm gonna fumble over it, and when I make the correction, you're gonna want to replay it a million times. Okay, that's a difference. A rapper should, in order to get all the nods, flowers, and head, and the movement and the trend, they just gotta say the right things, right? A writer, it's gotta be good in the final production, published post. Okay, anyone trying to discourage a writer for not having everything perfect that first time, they will never write again. Stop disrespecting me. But anywho's, I digress too often, right? So I was trying to bridge that divide in the final 2 to 3 minutes, because for a good 6 minutes straight, I was identifying the divide and exacerbating it. Like, hey, you're privileged, I'm privileged, the one in the very far back, he's not privileged at all, but everyone ahead of him is certainly privileged too, so you can get over this. So, right? Understand what privilege is so we can actually attack the issues, right? Because privilege itself isn't an issue, but at the same time, privilege is an issue because you won't stop talking about it, right? So long as you want to talk about it, it is an issue. But at the same time, I spent the last 3 minutes bridging that gap, making a bridge over the issue of privilege. Like, hey, we all start at different points, but it's all up to us to actually get to the finish line. Some people start at the finish line, sure. That just makes them more privileged than you. Some people start at the starting line and everyone else ahead of them is just that much further ahead, right? There is that divide of how much effort you got to put in to reach the finish line that a lot of people are starting at. Got to put in way more effort than the people who started halfway through the course, right? You got to put in way more effort than those who are privileged enough to not even have obstacles on their lane in this racetrack. Some people got hurdles like you, other people don't, right? So, like, for the first 6 minutes, I was describing all those things, and at the very end, I'm bridging this gap like, hey, let's all come together, not sing kumbaya, but recognize some things are some things and leave them at that. Everyone ain't free. No freedom is free. It came at the cost of people before you, right? So when I identify that, hey, I'm not the furthest one back there, but you guess who is less privileged than me? My mother, right? That was me partially bridging the gap. Like, hey, everyone is more privileged or less privileged than another. The whole point is for you to make the future more privileged. So don't be mad at people being privileged. That just means someone was successful in making their future people more privileged, right? The whole goal of doing things that create privilege is so that other people do it. Because in that very first minute and a half, I was identifying what privilege was. I'm like, hey, privilege just means that you suffered less than other people. You did or didn't have to do something, right? That makes privilege. If someone doesn't have to do anything, guess what? You're privileged. People talk about privilege like only if you benefit, you benefit. If you benefit, like, hey, that's not what privilege is. Privilege is about suffering, suffrage. If you didn't have to suffer, That's not privilege that you did end up suffering. That's just stupid. You're just stupid if you suffered. If you didn't have to suffer and you suffered anyway, you're stupid. That's not privilege, right? Because someone can suffer and still benefit of not having to suffer. You didn't have to suffer. You put yourself through the stupid thing and suffered anyway. So you're just a privileged person who did a stupid thing and made yourself suffer. That's, what are you talking about, right? So I've corrected that first and foremost, because the reason felt I had to correct that, because when the actual person was rapping on, well, freestyling on the beat and everything, he made the whole racial divide talking point, probably to get bonus graham crackers and thumbs ups from his audience who listened to him. And I'm like, let's correct one thing here. Like, there are some racial privileges. I don't want to discredit that, but the point still stands. If you want to talk about a few of the racial things you brought up, you certainly didn't have to go through that. And one thing I especially hate, because I myself am a black individual, right? It's like, one thing I hate is when other black people are like, help a brother out. Why? If privilege is a whole racial thing, then how about we recognize I had and have all the same issues you do, sir. So why would I set myself back to help you who doesn't want to help yourself, right? If it's a racial thing, that means all the problems of privilege work equally against me. Why would I make it harder against me to try and help you who's not on a course to make yourself any better? Just be better, bro. Just be better. Why would I make it harder for myself and possibly fail and break myself trying to help you who doesn't want to even save yourself, right? So that's why I set the whole thing in the very beginning, because that annoys me. Be you white, be you black, be you mixed, be you colored, be you non-binary, identifying, whatever you are. If there is like this actual racial aspect to privilege and stereotypes, if there really is some level of this, when I can identify as the exact same as you, sure, there is an aspect of we always have to be human and helpful to one another. But at the same time, when did helping turn into sacrificing my benefits in order to help you who's refusing to take benefits? What are you talking about? You need to put in effort too. I worked for my stuff. So long as we want to talk about the difference here and there, like you feel enslaved, okay, sure. A lot of people, even I feel like a slave sometimes when I work. But I still work. I'm not crying, whining, and complaining about it. I work. And that's how I got this stuff that you're asking me $5 for. I know $5 can get you a ball or something. Now you shut you shut up, right? I'm not giving you squat. I'll buy you a burger. No, man, I just need $1. I just need $1. 1, 2, 3. You got $4 there. If you are just looking for $5, bro, I will get you a sandwich. You better look in these nooks and crannies for pennies and count to 100, dude. I'm not helping you get your next fix. No. Because the fact that you can be addicted like that, you looking pretty privileged to still be alive. If you said you've been on the street for how many years? You haven't been on the street for years. You looking pretty privileged. Because in another country, you should be dead by now. You haven't worked in years and you're privileged enough to still be scrounging around for coke money, for drug money. You looking around for drug money? You looking pretty privileged for me. Right? So, yet again, I digress. So in the first 6 minutes, I identified the divide, and in the last 3 or so minutes, plus or minus a few seconds here and there, in the last 3 minutes, I was mainly trying to bridge the divide. I brought up a couple things here and there, And then I kept going around in that circle before I finally let it die off by going back for like another 30 seconds, being like, hey, pretty privileged, pretty privileged, pretty privileged, blah, blah, blah. Just putting myself in a tongue twister till I just let it. And then I got out and like, because I was in the car for this entire freestyle. I was doing it for like 8 minutes. Right, I was in the car, and I'm like, oh shoot, no, I gotta wait another 30 minutes before the place opens up. Oh, cool. Let me go through my reels and see what's going on here. Ooh, a freestyler. Let me listen. Click, and that's how we got there. So for the first portion of it was me trying to beat dictionary because I didn't feel like pulling up the dictionary through the phone or just actually pulling out the dictionary I had on me in my backpack. I was playing dictionary, trying to educate people. Like, what exactly is privilege? Next couple of minutes, I was like, hey, you are privileged, they're privileged, we're privileged. Next minutes, I'm like, I'm not privileged, they're not privileged, you are way more privileged than you realize. Right? So you looking pretty privileged, they looking pretty privileged, I'm looking pretty privileged, you looking pretty privileged, they look pretty privileged. Right? Stop disrespecting them back there. Right? Of all the things. And then just move on, essentially. So from there, it was that big major aspect of, hey, pretty privileged. And I just ground that into the freaking dirt. From here on out, I'm just going to say pretty privileged. Make pretty privileged. It's pretty, you privileged, we privileged, that pretty privileged sounding pretty privileged. I just went on a whole tirade for pretty privileged. But the reason, if I were to like actually write it out and make it into a song, I would definitely call the song not privileged or anything. I would call it take a step up or take a step back. Take a step up, step back. Right? I would name it. Yeah, I would probably name it that. Step up, step back. I wouldn't title it privileged, although like the also known as would probably be looking pretty privileged or something. Also known as looking pretty privileged. Pretty privileged. Right? That would be like the thing that gets stuck in everyone's head because of just how much emphasis I put on the word pretty privileged every time I said pretty privileged. I just put so much emphasis every time I said the word privileged throughout the freestyle that if I was to make it into a song, everyone would know it by the line pretty privileged. Pretty privileged. Pretty privileged. Right? Pretty privileged, pretty privileged. I would just put so much emphasis on privileged and pretty privileged that every time it would have to it would stick in people's mind. But the actual song name and title I would probably mark it down as step up, step back. Right. But yeah, that was actually a very long description, so it'll be a separate video of me actually singing it. For this video, since I already know I'm gonna separate it, how does my outro start again? But hey, that's just me, your Millennium Mailman. Sure hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I had to say or how I said it, go press the like button on the video. Comment down in the comment section down below any questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, and opinions that you might have and want me to know of. I do read those because I don't often get many. Or reach me at millenniummailmen@gmail.com. I check that once a week. Share the video for more exposure of the channel, more exposure of me, myself, my content that I do, or more exposure of the fact that I'm writing a whole book series right now called The Realm-of-Millenia. You know, the namesake of the channel. And subscribe if you feel like it. No one's forcing you to. It's okay. It's okay. But hey, that's just me. And never forget, Peace, love, happiness, and all the best of things to you.